you suffer from back pain, erectile dysfunction, frigidity, neck pain, knee pain, cold hands and feet, night sweats, headaches, swelling, we can help. SMI Pharmacy is an organic, sustainable farm and apothecary providing holistic analysis, lifestyle coaching, and herbal-based solutions. Our mission is to provide holistic health solutions rooted in herbal-based products and services.
Visit SMI Pharmacy today or visit our website at smipharmacy.com. Peace and love and tap, wonderful grand rising. Welcome to the Farmer's Sacred Grove with your host, Aisha Rael, and we have Brother Dr. Gabriel Hernandez L, and we have our wonderful, wonderful guest. You know, we got him on the show, y'all, and this is our first episode, so I am so elated to welcome Brother Ras Kofi to the Farmer's Sacred Grove. Good thanks. So
good to be in the grove.
Good to be in the grove. You see what I'm saying? We're about to dive deep in some information and maybe some misconceptions about farming. We're going to dive deep, and he's going to give you some information that we can share with the people, you know, to the community, because it's, you know, we need our farmers. This is sustainability right here. We need our farmers. So we're going to just dive deep into some things that he's doing here at, what's your business called? Shamba?
Shamba is the name of the space. So it's the headquarters is on the farm. So the business is on the farm. And the Shamba is the space where we are today. That is actually the home of two businesses. Okay. On the farm and OU Marketplace, OU Ministries and Marketplace.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So Shamba means?
Cultivating ground.
Cultivating grounds, y'all. Y'all hear that?
Ground.
That sacred grove, cultivating grounds.
Swahili word. You know, and the thing about the Shamba is, it's not just a place. There's a connotation that it's not just a place where vegetables grow, but also family gatherings. The Shamba is, you know, you're like your compound, you know. Okay. In the Swahili culture, so we felt it was very appropriate to call it that name, and just instead of finding an African name for farm, you know.
That's right.
Because that's what this is about. And that's what agriculture is really about. You know, agriculture is here for the service of the people. So, you know, the left brain, the kind of Western mindset is to segment everything. You know, not in the spirit of Ma'at, which one of the principles of Ma'at is order. But not just for the sake of order, but just for the sake of just confusing stuff and separation, you know, which is the only lie. So, you know, in subtle ways, we want to make sure that we are reminding ourselves and our people what this is really all about.
That's right. Ashe. So before we get started and moving around into your daily duties,
True.
How did you get started?
Wow. Well, my mama, you know, peace be upon her soul, you know, she's an ancestor now, but my mother from when I was yay high, when I see your goddess walking around the place, you know, from that stage right there, and my mama had me milking cows with her, and we were doing things like composting, you know, eggshells and peanut shells and urine from the potty and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Just things that 40 years later became these big catchphrases and, you know, Fortune 500. You know, and you know, no shade to any of it. Well, the Fortune 500 is a different thing, but you know, the trends come and go, and it's a healthy trend that people are now talking about composting and sustainability. You know.
Yeah.
But that was our start. You know, in Guyana, South America. So my mother moved there with a green thumb that she inherited from her ancestral line. She's from South Georgia, and she moved to Guyana and met my father. You know, and they started a family, and so she came and just planted up. I just remember as a youth, our yard was maybe a quarter acre at the most in terms of where we lived, maybe a half acre, but you know, around a quarter to half acre. But it seemed like a huge forest because just food everywhere, you know, all the fruit trees and everything, and that's due to my mother. So
that's right.
Definitely, you know, for more than sentimental reasons, have to credit her with the beginning.
Beautiful. Starting in that womb, that mama doing that energy work,
Yeah, man,
and
from
boom,
the
from the start.
Mama don't play.
That's right, and you hear that, mama don't play. So yeah, so you hear that. That's also diving into the sacred grove of the mama in her womb. She knew, hey, we got to get this thing going. We got to cultivate the ground. So that's beautiful. I give thanks. Thank you, ancestors. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
My question is cultivating the land. How do you see that in relationship with cultivation of the mind and or like relationships, etc.?
Oh, beautiful question, brother. You just threw me an alley-oop.
Definitely.
But again, even our space here, and I just told you about the two businesses, which is On the Farm and then OU Ministries, Queen Yan's business, is all about the cultivation of the soul. So we say we cultivate the soil and the soul. And that might sound catchy, but it's not just a catchphrase, you know what I mean? It's the reality. So it's the same principle. One of the fundamental principles of our business On the Farm is that life is a farm. So that's an extended metaphor. Life, the fundamental principles of agriculture are the same as the fundamental principles of human reality. I even got a song about it. Like the here it go. Like the here it go. But it's called Life is a Farm. So it say, yeah?
Yes, good. Do you? Yeah.
My mama always tell me that you reap what you sow. A universal law that the world have to know. Nothing I go grow unless you cultivate. You got to see the victory coming out of the gate. Life is a farm and the massive in one. We can go on, but we're not going to do that right now. But the point is, cultivation. Like when you cultivate the soil, what are you doing? You're exfoliating the skin because the soil is the earth's skin. This is her first layer. And the skin in our human body is the most important, not the most important, but the biggest organ, the largest organ, right? And in order to make it so that we can receive this energy from the sun and everything, we keep it exfoliated. You know what I mean? We keep it exfoliated. Like you say, mama don't play. I know probably before the king leave the house in the morning, he'd be like, let me ask you, because I know I'll be getting, you know what I mean?
Make sure you get
right, get that shea butter on there, right?
That.
Because that's love.
Yeah.
In a practical way, you're saying make sure you take care of one of your most important organs so that it can do its job. And what is its job? Its job is to receive the abundance. That's the thing. That's the fundamental thing we want to get across. That our default setting is homeostasis, as they call it. Our default setting is abundance, peace, joy, and power, strength, and vigor. That's our default setting. So in terms of your question, King, that's a serious question because, when we cultivate around the roots of the plant, we can take any little stick and make it happen. You see the layer of soil, and this is really rich soil, but it gets hardened on the surface quickly. So this is what I'm doing. And by doing this regularly, the sun and the rain and everything, the energy gets quicker to the root and helps these plants to grow exponentially. And so how does that refer to the human mind and the spirit? When we cultivate, how do we cultivate? There's so many ways to cultivate the mind. By studying. You know what I mean? By even doing practices like yoga and all this, because even though that is seen as a physical thing, as you well know, it's something that transcends, it bridges those worlds, right?
Yes.
With the breath and everything, by breathing.
That's right.
And again, studying and studying and studying and studying, practice, working out, whatever it is that we do in our various forms to keep ourselves not only sharp, but, moist, wet, ready to receive life. You know what I mean? So, we could go on and on with that, but, that's how I would say it in a nutshell, The cultivation of the soil is very similar to the cultivation of the soul. That's why we can say clearly, with clear conviction, that life is a farm. Because we're talking about, and why do we say that? Is that we just say that so we can find something deep to say? No, it's because we as a indigenous people by and large, have been separated from the soil. We were violently separated from the soil, you know? We were violently separated from the soil by people who, it wasn't just no willy-nilly kind of thing. I'm just coming back from Ghana, and I walked through those dungeons, those death dungeons. And it's a serious thing. It's a serious thing. We know that all of our people didn't come that way. My mama had me read a book back in the days called The Ra Expedition, which was documenting how ancient Cometians and other people came over here and reed boats. Ivan van Sertima from my country documented that they came before Columbus. So we didn't all come through that method. But now we're talking about the system of global imperialism, capitalism, how it developed off the backs of African people. And agriculture was at the root of that. And since from then to the point after so-called emancipation, going through the whole Reconstruction into Jim Crow, sharecropping and everything, there was trauma experienced by our people on the land. So what does trauma do? Trauma translates from generation to generation, just as joy and peace and power can as well, right?
That's right.
So there's a lot of trauma that is residing with our people still, in terms of just when they think about agriculture, when they think about the land. Because who's going to sit around Thanksgiving dinner and talk about how, you know, our legacy in our families, we had 500 acres, but we lost it because Grandpa stood up to the clan, you know what I mean? So then there's that lack of the translation of knowledge. That narrative gets obstructed.
Exactly.
Right? So all of that to say, well, this is why we have to make it a very clear effort, because this is our wealth. The proof of that is beyond what the Europeans did, but that's good proof right there. The wealth of is the soil, is the land, you know? And so this is our heritage. So I'm just saying all that to say, you know, when we're cultivating our environment, we're cultivating our spirit, it's the same thing as cultivating our soil, because we are in a system, we have inherited a system that is based on being abundant. And one of the tools, one of the best practices then, you know, in order to keep things in a state of abundance is to cultivate. Yeah,
You have a shirt that say cultivate too.
Yeah, we have a shirt that say cultivate, and we have one that say plant, water, cultivate, harvest, repeat.
Ooh, we need that one.
Plant, water, cultivate, harvest, repeat.
You see
It's
that?
sold out right now. We're getting some more in for the fall, you know, but that's what it is. Because that is life. That's not just for your garden. That's just for life. You plant your seed. As we were singing in the song, you know, nothing not gonna grow unless you cultivate. What's the next line? You got to see the vision coming out of the gate. You know, I was taught that when you're planting a seed, or when you're planting a plant, you're planting a seedling, you should visualize that seedling or that plant in its glory, in its fullness. So I'm walking around behind the cedar, planting carrot seeds. I'm thinking about these juicy carrots that are gonna be popping up the ground. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's the same thing with, like, when we making babies, right? If we're responsible about it, you know? It's like literally, you know, we have that, we've been given that power. And again, the narrative tells us that we weren't, you know, we don't have all that, but that's not the truth.
Yeah.
So because we were separated from the soil, there is a need for a reconnection. And I think one of the things that has happened universally that no one could, even though we can point the finger and say, well, if some people did it in a lab, but how it was allowed to happen, is COVID. That was one of the things that provided an impetus, more than hours of begging and pleading and knowledge and ciphers and everything from farmers like myself and many that come before me, you know, that just say, okay, it sparked something in what? In our DNA. It sparked something in our memory. Say, yo, let's return to our mama. And she has always been our fortress. She ain't never forsaken us. And the trauma that we have experienced was not because of her. You know, there's a quote that our sister Leah Penningman made. She quoted somebody else, I don't remember his name, but she has a book called Farming While Black. And in essence, it's saying that the land was the scene of the crime, but she was not the criminal.
That's deep. I'm gonna have to look into that.
That's a very
Farming
important,
While Black.
Yeah, Farming While Black. It's a very powerful book. Powerful book.
Okay, put that in mind.
Yeah, powerful book. It's a workbook. It's a history book. It's inspirational. All of that. Yeah. Definitely, well put together. But the earth was the scene of the crime, but the earth was not the criminal. You know, just think about that for a minute. You know, put that in your pipe and smoke. So what does that mean? That means that as we unlearn the narrative that was forced upon us through a traumatic experience, we get forward to this, and we even see this with different eyes. You know, it still work now.
Yeah.
It still take work, but it's like we're working for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we plug it into a system that's foolproof, and it's been established for millions of years. You know, so give thanks.
Give thanks.
I hope I answered the question.
Very profound.
Sure.
I tend to be long-winded.
No, it's okay.
No, because you dive into different points so people can see it in different angles. So even with quotes and books, we have to get that book. We need to get that in our library. But that's deep because, like you said, people don't really reach into the mind of where the food come from. They just know it's in the store. And not saying to give thanks or go visit more so the farmer's market or just to come out here, like you said, and volunteer. Because I definitely know how much work it is, and I am gratitude because he was one of my first teachers, like to hard work and just to say, hey, come out here and do it. And knowing me, I came from a background not seeing a pile of compost this high or working on trucks or throwing on my boots. So I really had to be intentional about what I was doing and how I was moving. So that gave me the to say I can do this. I'm working with Ras Kofi. He got a stamp to his name, so people are like, oh yeah, I know Ras Kofi. So I am thankful to be in your presence and to work. I wish I could come out here more and guarantee my time, but we're gonna work on that. Look, I'm moving some things around to me to be there.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I've been inside for a while, so he know when I say I'm missing the farm, I'm out the doors like I haven't even went outside.
It's a real thing. It's like there's an energy with the mama, that really compels us and it invites us. It's very inviting. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about it. As we share this information, we have to remember and remind ourselves again that this is our mother and not a factory. The mindset makes a big difference. The colonialists have used this as a factory, so that's why in the Midwest, on the Turtle Island, or in the United States, whatever you want to call it, you got what's called the Dust Bowl now. Because year after year, all they do is go in and take, and don't even replenish. They just take. They just add more fertilizer, and they didn't follow the wisdom of George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver said, rotate the crops, replenish the earth. So when you go to Tuskegee today, I've been told by many people, and this has been a recent discovery for me, but it really makes perfect sense that the land in Tuskegee is second in fertility only to the land in the Nile Valley.
Really?
And when you think about Dr. Carver and his legacy, because it's so highly underrated and understated, you know what I mean? It's serious. He told us to rotate the soil, and this was in the midst of that bestial economy, the slave economy. He was traded for a broken mule.
Wow,
that's how frail he was. Yeah. And this man that was traded for a broken mule ended up healing our people in a very sustainable way. Booker T. Washington reached out to him, and I can't quote it verbatim, but in the letter, this is definitely check out for yourself. He was saying that fortune and fame I cannot offer you. You already have the latter, and the other is sure to be yours. I can't offer you riches. I offer you now the opportunity to drop all of that and take instead work, hard work, the work of remaking a broken people, bringing a broken people into full manhood. I tell you, I get goosebumps every time I think about that. And the fact that this man, he accepted that. He accepted that proposition. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
How many of us in this time would do that? Say, man, you throw away all your wealth and everything and come and just get this work in.
This work, yeah.
And he did it. And again, not just for sentimental reasons, we call on his name because he left us with something very tangible, which is the legacy of the replenishing of the soil, returning to the whole concept of, like in the human experience, we go to grandmama's house, right? That's where the family gather for the most scrumptious meals and everything. Imagine going to grandmama's house all the time and just going for the meals and never checking on grandma to see, how you doing. Never dropping grandma a line, never going to wash her feet. Where you just show up at Thanksgiving and Christmas and this holiday and just eat. That's what the slave economy was all about. It's about greed, which makes perfect sense, because you got to be motivated by greed to denigrate human beings, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's so Saint Carver, as we call him, he is the answer to the madness. And it's something I speak in the present tense because he still is with us in the essence of the work that he shared with us. And so we stand on his shoulders.
True indeed. What kind of programs do you guys have, like for the community or for children or anything of that nature?
Well, first starting with the opportunity to volunteer, because we learn a lot just by repetitive work. You know what I mean? Practice makes perfect. That's just a science of life.
Gotcha.
Also, we have all kind of educational programs. We have what's called the Level Up Academy, which we're in our second season, coming up in the second season, starting in the cool months when people have a little bit more time to reflect and and come out of their regular rigmarole and just use the seasons for what the seasons are for. So the Level Up Academy is about teaching practical skills for sustainable living as well as champion mindsets. So we have the Level Up Academy. We have a plethora of programs throughout the year that we come up, one-off programs that especially involve the youth because, again, if we're talking about family, we're talking about nation building, how can we leave out our children? How can we leave out our women? They're at the center of that.
That's right.
I saw, when I was in Ghana, I was reminded of a quote by Samora Machel, a great revolutionary, the first president of Mozambique, who was assassinated in October, I want to say 1983 or 82. But he was basically saying, not verbatim again, but the liberation of women is not some kind of a sentimental, some kind of charity or something. This is fundamental to our reality because of who they are. So just connecting those little dots that we're sharing and just saying, well, even if you call yourself a player and you just think you got game, just think about that from the level of game. If somebody's going to take the time to suppress this energy in order to elevate another energy, why would that be? Why would it be that you need to write the mother out of the history book or change the narrative about who she is, unless she's somebody seriously special and without the people who you're trying to trick understanding her special nature, maybe then they could be taken advantage of, And that's the same thing with the soil.
Makes perfect sense. So how do people contact you to actually come and volunteer?
Well, for those of you who are on social media, it's simple as On The Farm, ONDAFARM, or you can also check out the Shamba Instagram page and Facebook page. That's SHAM as in Mary, B as in boy, A, Shamba.ATL. And you'll see the links in our bio for volunteering and all kind of resources, all kind of services, as well as products that we have to share. Our website is onthefarm.com, again, ONDAFARM.com. So there are many different ways to contact us. And for those of y'all who are not on the web and just with the old school telephone knowledge, it's 404-590-8010. 404-590-8010. Those are ways to contact us and just get involved in your own liberation, That's really that simple.
And do you guys, just one last question for this segment, do you guys offer like a TSA, like for the community?
Or
Or
CSA?
CSA, excuse
Yeah,
me?
we're developing a CSA.
Okay.
We kind of got sidetracked when COVID hit because there's so much, like everything you see here is spoken for already. You know what I mean? Sister Aisha asked about the demand. That's one thing that I just want to make an appeal to everyone listening, not just on behalf of on the farm, our business, but on behalf of our people. We need more farmers. You know, Ras Kofi is not doing this in any way reluctantly. You know what I mean? And most of the people I know are not doing this in any way reluctantly. And we still have a lot that we like to do. Like I like to travel, I love music. I would spend, but we know that without farmers growing the food, we're not going to eat, you know? During the pandemic, one of the things that happened again is you see the creepy hand of commercial greed creeping in. And with all the tricks and all the different type of things that happen, you end up seeing a rise of farmers markets, but these farmers markets become t-shirt markets, craft markets, and no food, because the people that are supposed to be training to get this thing, they got a PPP loan or they got something else, which it's all good. Get all of it. It's all part of the reparation. However, a little dog bone, which is really what any kind of loan that you can get in the Babylon system, even if it's forgiven, as opposed to what is due to us, that is not going to feed you long term. So at the end of the day, we have a lot of land that is available for growing. We have a legacy of being masters of the earth, but we have a few farmers. Like one of the scriptures say, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. That's real talk. And what happens when situations like this arise, other people see our needs and they capitalize on it. So they become the merchants in our community and sell us what we produce. Imagine that, sell us what we produce. Crazy. Well, we originated and then they come back and sell it to us. And this is because of our negligence. That's the bottom line. At this point in the game, 2021, 2022, whenever we are, this is based on our negligence. It's not to say that the system of white terror and white fragility, what some people call white supremacy, but there's nothing supreme about that. It's not to say that that doesn't exist and there are not people out here with all kind of devious plans and resources to execute those plans. However, it's also to say that any hood you go in, on the corner, you can talk to a group of brothers and sisters and they can tell you about the game and the white man and this, that, and the third. So now it's really, we're in the age of information where the veil has been lifted off our eyes. So excuses are no longer relevant in terms of anything that we would provide as an excuse to why we're not taking care of ourselves, why we're not feeding ourselves, why we're not clothing ourselves, why we're not sheltering ourselves, why we're not loving ourselves, why we're not cultivating our own heart, cultivating our own mind, cultivating our own soil. There's just no excuse anymore. So, that's just, I didn't mean to go on a soapbox, but that's real,
Yeah,
That's
no
real.
worries.
We need more farmers. We need people tilling the soil. We need people tilling the soil. In the 1940s, on this country, America, and United States of America, United Snakes, really, truly the divided states of America, because they make it look like they're all together, and the only thing they're together is putting their feet on our back. But they hate each other worse than they hate us. They got serious family issues. You know what I mean? But in this country, in the 40s during the World War II, victory gardens arose everywhere. This was a natural impulse because a lot of the men were away at war, and people had to have a way to feed themselves. So what they do? They had victory gardens. Look it up. Nothing that we're making up ourselves. Victory gardens came as the response to a necessity. What was the necessity? Food. Healthy, nutritious food. And that necessity has not gone anywhere. As a matter of fact, the more the environment gets toxic, as our mama is doing her thing to cleanse herself of the whole virus, I ain't talking about the coronavirus, I'm talking about the human virus, the dark side. As Mama's doing that, it's still a toxic environment that many of our people are living in across the world, and we need even more healthy food to be able to balance ourselves off to navigate through those swamps. Yes.
Indeed. Well, would you mind showing us around the farm a little bit
Yeah,
and
let's
let
do
us
it.
follow you around and
No
see
problem.
what you're doing?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is just water some of these seedlings. Some of them, as you can see, have been neglected. So here's an example of what not to do.
They just left it out, or is it
They just weren't watered every day.
Can some of them be saved?
Oh, they all can be. That's why we have them in.
That's right, because I'm like, ooh, it look like a few can be saved. I know a lot.
And what I'm looking at, what I'm getting this from is a rainwater system. A basic thing, a basic way of helping to sustain ourselves based on or using natural resources. Because rainwater to the food, the difference between rainwater and tap water is like the difference between mama's milk and like some baby formula. No shade to those who have to use baby formula, but there's no comparison to mama's milk. And because there's a code written there already in the DNA that allows that to be something that's powerful for the organism, right? But one thing about the Creator, as Pharaoh Sanders said, the Creator has a master plan. So we find that the things that we see in life in terms of natural occurrences, they all have a really specific purpose. And when we look at deeper, we see that the purpose kind of coincides with other purposes. There's nothing that is just kind of willy-nilly and kind of out there on its own. It all makes perfect sense. So that's what we're doing right here, watering these seedlings. These are all seedlings from fall crops that when you walk around, you'll see a lot of them already in the ground. But there's space for more.
Were these seeds planted by you, or like for volunteers? They came and
A little bit of both. Yeah, I want to shout out my sister Rajamia and many other volunteers who come through, but she helped with a lot of this planting for this particular season. And we run off of volunteerism. It's a beautiful exchange because we provide knowledge that will help people to become good stewards of their own space, and they help us with the labor that it takes to maintain properties such as this. So we just watering these plants a little bit. Let's take a walk. Show a couple of I want to show you various plants, or the plants in various stages of their life, right?
Definitely.
These are plants that were planted 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
You see, they're already coming up strong. These in between here are green onions. So these will become onions, those that we don't harvest, as shallots and everything.
Yeah.
Right? Collards and broccoli. This is some sunflower that came back, and I'm not going to cut it down. I'm just let it do its thing until it's time for it to go.
Wow.
It came back as a volunteer.
I know, right? Look at that.
But these are, kale beds, red Russian kale, different types of kale. We got edamame over there. I want to give a shout out to our farmer Joe and his queen Judith, because they donated those to us.
Wow.
Some bitter herbs. Let's walk through the jungle here a little bit.
Walk through the jungle.
A very important sign right here.
Yeah, I knew this.
Because what we didn't really talk about is the fact that farming is labor intensive. However, again, if we utilize what we've been gifted by our Creator, this is a big lemongrass right here, I'm gonna harvest so I can come back and get some more. If we utilize what we've been given by our Creator, then there's so much wild food out here.
That's right.
And the benefit of the wild food is it's not just that it grows naturally, but it's more nutritious than the domesticated food. This is domesticated food. Nice juicy mustard you see, and the collard greens and the kale and all that. That's domesticated food. Wild food is the food that from season to season is growing Like this right here. This violet.
Yes.
Now, the coronavirus is a series of viruses that emerge in the late winter, early spring. But what also emerges? What does nature provide? Something like this that is excellent mucosinogen. I said that right. Mucosinogen.
All right.
I always get that mixed up. But basically, that's a scientific name for something that helps to expel mucus.
All right.
Right?
Yep.
This right here, growing naturally, abundantly. You know, plantain. You see all these bees flying around. If a bee bites you or a snake bites you or you fall and cut yourself or something, plantain is here. That all you got to do is chew a little bit of it and let that. By chewing it, you activate its essence and allow it to be with allow it to bond with your saliva, so that now it's working directly for you. You telling it it's working. It's like what the Babylon do with the spike proteins. You know, it's doing that for you naturally, right? And so there's so much. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Season after season, there's so much really rich and abundant food. So again, this is all about a paradigm shift. For those of you who are interested in getting in the garden, because all what we're saying, it might sound good, but it also might sound fancy and over your head. No, because you're trying to figure out, well, I ain't got time for this. But I can tell you that in your backyard, there's food that's growing that's responding to your bodily needs right now. Like your specific needs, especially if you live there for a while. Especially if you have your sons and maybe even your daughters, you know, urinate in the yard from time to time and all that. You're depositing information into the soil, and the mama, in her beneficent nature, will always respond. You know, and so that's what's going on. So, yeah, that's this was a shade house during the winter or during the summer, where we actually put over a shade cloth, so foods like lettuce and everything that need a little bit more coolness could flourish. We're gonna. This is one of the last beds that needs to be turned over. These are tomatoes, as you can see. Good brother, man.
That's right. No, I like. Oh, thank you. Beautiful. That tastes sweet and ooh, I miss it.
These were tomatoes and eggplants, but these are going now. They're on the way out.
Okay.
We walk this way and we can see.
Beautiful.
Mint like grass.
Yes.
This is apple mint right here.
Oh, look, guys. So one thing that I find that I've been, ever since I've been growing, disturbing is these signs of kill the weeds.
Oh my
Kill
God.
the weeds. You want to get rid of your weeds? And it's been so disturbing because it's serious. People want their grass green, but they don't want the nutrients from the grass. They want it to look a certain way. It's about just the aesthetics on it, and not actually. They don't like the dandelion flowers. People get offensive about that, and mushrooms growing in their grass, and I'm like, how do you feel that way?
Well, we didn't always feel that way, so that brings me back to our ancestor, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, who asked the poignant question, who taught you to hate yourself? So when I look at the dandelion, for instance, as you just mentioned, I think about the, I don't even want to call the name of that substance that they sell, but I'm forgetting it right now, but it's a very popular substance that's used to kill weeds. And the dandelion is there. But what is the dandelion? Dandelion is food.
Mm-hmm.
Liver food, kidney food, blood food, to purify and to strengthen the blood. That's what dandelion is.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of mentality would be convincing people to kill dandelions? You know? And that's just one of them. So I mean, it's real, sis. And I just want to add on that I don't feel it starts with the ignorance of our people, because our standards of beauty, our standards of health, our standards of wealth, our standards of even happiness and joy have all been artificially manipulated by something else. But again, now that the knowledge is out here, there's no more excuses.
You want some more, baby? Like the peppermint.
The apple mint different.
You'll see some chickens in the coop doing their thing.
Okay.
It's a little nippy farm today, so I know they kind of inside here. They used to be all over the place. We get calls from the neighbors talking about they next door and people shooting them with BB guns.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, you got some of the walnuts over here?
Oh, so these
The black walnuts,
yes.
those are at a stage where I can't use them anymore to make the tincture, but they're still very much useful. This is black walnut. We have a huge tree there.
Mm-hmm.
Black walnut is one of the best anti-parasitic foods on the planet. Black walnut.
Definitely.
You know, and this is for human parasites as well as parasites that live in our body, you know. Energetic parasites as well as other type of parasites. I'll just leave it at that and say do your research. Because there's ways to get rid of them parasites using the black walnut.
That's shame. Y'all hear that? That's probably down the street, probably in your backyard. But we just gotta tap into it. So have you heard of the sweet gum tree?
Yes, I
The
have.
sweet gum tree. I just discovered that in our yard, and I was just outside like, oh, what can I do with this?
A whole lot.
A whole lot, yes. Just right in my backyard, and I've been there for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't even know it.
So I'm glad y'all are here today for many reasons. One of them is like one day where the weather kind of drops really shows the vulnerability of certain type of plants. You know, and so like the yellow, this is lemon balm, as you can see, is flourishing. It's rich. This is the time, the harvest time, to clip these and bring them in the house and dry them and dehydrate them and all that kind of stuff before the winter comes. A frost will not necessarily kill them, but they will die back a lot, you know, because a lot of these flourish with hot weather. That are here that are for our service. Just like the prophecy said, you know, they're for the service of man. So all we're doing is just tapping into the system of abundance that was already created for us. So all over here, I came back to find a surprise. Somebody pulled out 3 beds of collard greens and cauliflower by accident. You know, it was not the type of thing a farmer wants to see, but that's part of the life.
Yeah, wow. 3 beds. Whew.
Over here, them Scotch bonnet peppers. It's pepper sauce coming down the pipe. Some special on the farm Shamba pepper sauce, right? For all our, you know, to preserve. Fannie Lou Hamer, peace be upon her.
Dang.
And right under your foot there, my brother, is dandelion.
Yes.
Yeah. So Fannie Lou Hamer used to tell the farmers that, you know, the more you can and preserve your food, the less control these white folks have over you and are able to terrorize you. Because they rule by fear. Any oppressor is ruling by fear. Because if you want to break things down to a real simple compound, it's either fear or love that's motivating things. Period. I challenge anyone to look outside of, like, to look at any scenario and get to the root of it and tell me if it's something other than those two. Right? So Fannie Lou Hamer, you just told, you know, can and preserve, you know, so that will, this is the season for that. Over here, we're so happy. After many years, I've grown sorrel again.
Yay.
So all you see here is sorrel, and we're about to hook that up proper and make some sorrel jam and some you know, sorrel and ginger.
Wow, look at this.
Juice and all that kind of vibe there, man. We're here for it.
So this
I
is
grew up
harvest
on
time
that
when it
shit.
looks like this.
Yes, they're almost ready to harvest.
How will you know when it's time to harvest? Will it a certain look? Will it fall off?
When they get to be, the buds get stiff like this. And let me just demonstrate for you, because sorrel is a thing. Most of y'all know this is a drink, and it is. It's a delicious drink, and we're gonna do that, and you make a jam with it too.
Yeah.
Let me tell you though. First shot of vitamin C. The temperature changing up on you. Stay sucker free. Stay healthy. Oh yeah. So it can be used in different ways. It can be dried, preserved, or, you know. different ways, but this is sorrel.
As a child, I only had it as a drink. You know, I grew up with a lot of Jamaicans and Trinis, and it was always sorrel in the refrigerator. You know?
Always, yeah. Very good blood food.
That was the Kool-Aid. You know?
Precisely,
Yeah.
precisely.
See the baby, she like it.
Like
Love
it.
So there's food everywhere. You know, there's all kind of seedlings at the different stages, and that's what we're cultivating right now. And we'll be planting more this evening, planting more tomorrow as time goes on. Because the thing
I never
about
tasted it, Robert. Let me taste it.
agriculture too is it's year round. You know? If we eat year round, then we plant year round.
Plant year round.
You know, and we're not living in Alaska or under some heavy ice cover. But even with that, we find a way to plant because we always gonna find a way to eat. You know? So that's what it is.
Make sure y'all volunteer. Definitely. Make sure y'all volunteer. Come on out to Shamba. I need to start back putting in my hours. I need to see you hear me on the video. I'm about to put my hours in. Yeah.
Look, we gonna come as a family.
As a family, because it's part of their curriculum.
Yeah,
Because
that's
I have
right.
them going outside doing the weeding and make sure they're, getting the area a little clean for the new stuff to come in. But we know it's hard work.
Like it, huh?
She's loving it.
Loving it.
Oh yeah, she came straight out the bathtub, so she didn't have no worries with eating. You see, she ate peppermint, lemon balm. She picked up everything and said, "Oh." So yeah, this the garden baby right here. So she loved it.
May I take a picture of her?
Yes. Yes. Do you want?
No, do your thing. No, let
Oh,
her,
okay.
Let her do her thing. Enjoying the sorrow. My daughter, Aqua, my eldest daughter, who is the mother of my only grandchild for now. Yeah, for now.
For now.
You know, she used to eat. Ooh, look at this. You're making me happy right now. That's what it's all about. This is why I do this right here. For this moment right here. See? Little mama. Mama got it off the tree. She's loving it. But Aqua used to eat like garlic and all them things just like that, like an apple. You know?
Yep.
It's good, huh?
Irish moss, she don't have no problems.
That's it.
But that's good. That teaches them, not any boundaries about eating, because we see the young children now, they're like, ew, don't hand me no greens. I don't eat off the ground. So we have to, like you said, we have to teach the parents too. But I love teaching the babies like straight like this, because she won't have any issues with just, oh, you said that's sorrel. Oh, peppermint. I remember lemon balm. That's my childhood. So I love in this stage that she's doing this, because I didn't grow up eating from the ground. I was one of those, ew, don't hand me nothing on the ground.
Right.
So this is a difference in my lifestyle and my journey, because people couldn't believe it. I was outside. They're like, it's dirt, it's bugs. You sure you're out there? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm telling them I'm standing on compost. I'm throwing the food. They like, ew. So the change of mindset, we have to have that growth mindset, especially about food. We love to eat, especially when it's delicious and you're figuring out your spices, your greens. That's soul food cooking right there. Your spices, that's most of the things that people go for, the spices. That's what I really like, that chicken and the meats and, a lot of stuff. It's the spices. So we know Ras Kofi got it going on out here. Shamba got it going on. OU Ministry, they got it going on, y'all. And I am grateful to be in his presence, to be out here in the earth, just to, kick it, and for him to share his wisdom, not just with me, but my family. Look, he done cooked on a log before and just threw the fire, and it was we got a meal.
I will.
So
that's that good life right there.
Good life. And it teaches.
I didn't get to show y'all my rocket stove, but we'll look at that next time when y'all come out.
Yeah, when we do part 2, we're gonna be in the farm
cook some food
on part 2.
That's right. Let's do that.
Yeah, that's a
Well,
fact.
give thanks. Thank you. Do you want to share any tips?
Yeah,
or any
one last words of power for the people.
Man, life is a farm. Life is a farm. The system that we've inherited just by being human beings, and then when you go deeper by being children of the sun, is a system of abundance. So the only lie is separation. There's one creator, there's one world, there's one life, there's one universe, there's one system, one living, intricate system. So just tap into that and please make it a joyful process. And for those of us who are here to help to evolve the world, and may even call ourselves revolutionary, I think of our ancestor Ishaka Musa Barashango, who said, I'm a happy revolutionary. The things that we're doing are part of our calling and should never be a burden. So find the joy in life. That's the word. Find the joy in life. That's what all those bees around here are reminding us of. Work hard, busy as a bee, and also find the nectar, taste the nectar often, all right?
That's right. I say. Close us
Wonderful.
out.
We couldn't close out any better than that. Aisha Rael here at Shamba, Dr. Gabriel Hernandez L. The Farmer's Sacred Grove. This was only episode 1, so make sure y'all stay tuned, subscribe, love our channel on Smite Pharmacy GTV. Follow us. Peace and love, family.